What's up?
What's up, dude? How's life?
Good, good. How are you doing? Long time.
Very good. Happy Friday.
Oh,
Good
wait,
to see
it's
you.
Saturday
It
here,
is
man.
Friday. Whatever, man. It's Friday here.
Welcome to the Nodi
Happy
Cricketer.
Friday. Welcome. Who are you? Let's introduce ourselves. First episode of potentially either a very long podcast or a podcast that dies after 2 episodes. Either ways,
Hey, your mom and my mom are watching, so we got 2 views.
we got two views for sure. I can get my wife and you can get yours as well. So we got 4 views for sure.
Okay. But I am Thalaiva from Vadodara. Rich cricketing culture. Nothing rich about the cricketing culture about myself, other than those under 14 glory days. And that's about it.
I'm Rohit Iyer, based in London, from Bombay, spent my childhood in Dubai. All the time, I had no under 14. I just played cricket until I was 14, broke a couple of car windows, and that's it. So that was the end of my cricketing career. So here we are. And then I just went back to Cricinfo and I spent all my time looking through different statistics on Cricinfo. So yeah. And then, we just thought, okay, let's start this thing. Why? Because it's the IPL. And B, because who the fuck is Ashok Sharma? That was the question that, if you remember, I texted you on the day of the IPL auctions. I was like, who's this guy who went for 55 lakhs? And you're like, I don't know. We looked at his Cricinfo profile and it seems like he doesn't even have a single match to his name.
Fun fact,
so I'm like,
he's actually got a pretty decent Wikipedia profile. So he's got good friends.
He probably wrote it himself, just like other Wikipedia. So yeah, that's why we thought, okay, this is the time to start a podcast and use our useless information that we've collected. Why now? I mean, what better time to start a cricket podcast than IPL? Because you've basically got an unlimited source of cricket, unlimited content to generate content from. And IPL is just the IPL. And this year, it's a 10-team format, up from 8 teams. 10 teams, Lucknow and Gujarat. You finally have a home team. I mean, I don't know who you were supporting below that.
We had Gujarat Lions, who did really well one season and who did really badly. They were captained by a person who's not playing the IPL anymore, but an IPL legend, Suresh Raina. We'll get into that.
Well,
but now we've got Hardik. We've got Hardik.
Yep. Well, which Hardik is going to show up? Let's get to that in a bit. Anyways, so 10 teams up from 8. And this time, the other tweak is that they're only going to be playing in 4 venues. 3 in Mumbai, 1 in Pune. I think that's to avoid the whole cluster shit that happened last time about the whole IPL bubble breaking apart. So, they've said, okay, Brabon, Wankhede, D.Y. Patil, Pune. So, you can go between Mumbai, Pune in buses. So you don't have to go through planes and stuff like that. So they've kind of twisted the format. And I think the other change in the format is that it's not like every team is playing each other twice. Exactly. I think they've done some sort of, I don't know what, but yeah, I mean, it's clearly sort of some compromise between something that not everyone's going to shoot them about and keeping the international calendar in mind and, triangulating between everything to have an entertainment package.
Exactly. Apparently, one group is going to play another group a few times. Twice rather, and one group is going to play another group once. So there's some jolt that they've done there, and somehow CSK and MI playing twice. I wonder why. But yeah,
let's talk about talk about the box office. But
talking about CSK.
Talking about CSK. So what are we doing as part of our first video? Our first video is basically going to analyze the CSK auction. So we're going to analyze all the teams and say how they've done in the auction. I think that oftentimes you see the auction and you're all focused on the big names and people sort of don't look through the thing and say, okay, yeah, you have a bunch of different players, but how does all of that slot into the playing 11, right? How do you form that team balance? How do you sort of have a team? What are the backups for your main players? Because for a team to sort of function, you need more than 11 players. You need the right mix between Indian players and overseas players. You need, you need different roles and, people doing them, and you need backups for all of them, right? Because A, injury, and B, international calendar. Two eyes, right?
Yeah. So all the nerdy stuff, basically.
All the nerdy stuff, and, the kind of stuff that will hopefully lead to us finding out who Ashok Sharma is at the end of the day. But until then, let's get into CSK, right?
Yes, so, but who do you support before that? Who do you support? With your,
I'm from Mumbai, so there's always been Mumbai. Mumbai is an incredibly smart IPL team. But listen, if you talk about auctions and CSK, IPL, you can't. I do have a soft spot in my heart for CSK. They are at the end of the day the most successful team in the franchise. You can argue with that, but they're the kind of guys that you always make fun of them in the beginning of the franchise, call them something or the other, daddy's army, this, that, but they're gonna, the way I look at it, you've got like 3 out of the 4 places. All the teams are fighting for the 3 places in the playoffs, because one of them is always reserved for CSK. Apart from they won the trophy 4 times. I think apart from 2020, they do not have a single instance of them not qualifying for the playoffs. And I might be wrong about this, but that's from just at least from my memory.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, but yeah, anyways, they're incredibly successful. They're a very good franchise. So yeah, there's good reason for me to sort of have. I am curious as to see how they go about their stuff.
So let's open what we do best at Nerdy.
Absolutely, Excel.
Awesome.
So look, we're sort of taking a slightly different take into the whole thing, right? So everyone looks at players as like batsmen, bowlers, all-rounders, and stuff like that. But I'm kind of looking at it as who are they're fundamentally 4 things, right? Like before we get into that, right? Let's talk about the DNA of CSK. Who are CSK? What are they known for as a team, right? Every team has a culture. Every team has a sort of like DNA, right? CSK. These guys undoubtedly have the most passionate fan following. If you look at their Instagram page, if you look at their sort of like team following, they have some of the most loyal. They have one of the most loyal fan base, I think, in the entire IPL. They if you remember when was the time when they had a practice session in Chennai where 50,000 people came to watch a practice session? Obviously all of this was pre-COVID. This was definitely, I don't remember when it was, 2019 or this was the time when they came back into the IPL, right? Where they were banned for a year. So they've got the most loyal fan base. They as a team, they're typically, they value loyalty. Most of their people have been with them for like the last 10 years. They are known to pick players who typically you would write off and be like, these guys are either daddies or past their prime, and they're known to get the best out of them. And lastly, they're also known to pick these sort of players who are not necessarily T20 players, and then they suddenly, once they play for CSK, they end up being superstars and they completely dominate the scene. And you're like, wow. Case in point, Josh Hazelwood, right? Before he came to the IPL last year, you'd never really think about him as a T20 bowler. Now, and once he left the IPL, he was probably Australia's best T20 fast bowler. He just transformed in the World Cup. Josh Hazelwood, Sam Curran, Moeen Ali. You can, the list goes on and on, right? You've got a bunch of these guys who are good players, but they came here and they found they were given a role that no other team gave them. How much of this is because of CSK? How much of this is because of MS Dhoni? Only time will tell. Now, obviously, you've heard the news. MS Dhoni is not going to be the captain of CSK anymore. I think it's.
Were you surprised? Were you surprised?
Yes and no. I think knowing Dhoni, look what he did for the Indian team, right? He retired in 2019. He gave up the captaincy almost in 2017. So he's not the kind of guy who's going to walk away from a team like right away. So even in Indian team, he sort of like transitioned to the captaincy, gave Virat the captaincy, let him be under them, and then he was always there for a couple of years. So I think this is probably the right time. I think he said that his last T20 game will be in Chennai, right? So he's not going to, what that means is that it definitely means that he's going to play next year, because this year Chennai isn't hosting.
Unless the playoffs. Yeah.
But I would let's assume that he's probably around this year and next year, right? Because I know there's a lot of doubts about him as a batsman and stuff like that, but he's still one of the best keepers. Not one of the best. He is the best keeper in the world. I mean, those stumpings that he pulls off, I don't think anyone else can pull off. And B, he's basically the best cricketing brain in the world. I mean, nobody reads the game and reads the scenario and reads the thing as much as him. And lastly, he just can get the best out of any spinner. I mean, the best example is Kulcha. I mean, those guys were, when Dhoni was keeping, I mean, those guys looked like invincibles. But after Dhoni went, that Kuldeep guy was not even the same as, I mean, like, it's clear, right? I mean, he knows how to get the best out of spinners. So,
I mean, that was evident, I think, last season, was it? When he literally told Jadeja what to bowl to Maxwell. And,
basically ball by ball, like do this. I mean, and that's what he does to all spinners. I mean, I think we've seen many cases of spinners sort of losing their direction once Dhoni is not the keeper. I mean, Kuldeep is one case in point, right? Completely went off the rails once Dhoni wasn't the keeper, because I just think he lacked that vision and that direction.
Anyway, I'd love to see like someone like Moeen Ali or Mitchell Santner come into that role, but getting to the team that
I mean, you need a keeper. Like, you need to. The thing is, if there was an interview with Avesh Khan long back where he said that when Rishabh Pant was there, he tells them exactly what to do. So only the keeper can control the game. As I don't think a Moeen Ali or someone else can do it, because they're not going to be able to get to the bowler.
No. What I mean is, it'll be interesting to see how Moeen Ali or Mitchell Santner, being spinners, would perform with Dhoni. They've not really had the same results.
But Dhoni's still the keeper, right? So
right.
He's still going to be able to tell them what to do. But he's not the captain. But I mean, listen, I just saw the Instagram post that Chennai released. There was a video that, I mean, Chennai is a great franchise. As I said, they have a good YouTube channel. They do a lot of content like in CSK stuff. A lot of it's in Tamil as well, but I can understand it. So that helps me. But what Jadeja said is that he basically he's definitely going to go to Dhoni whenever he can. I think that's always. Kohli did the same thing. So they have got him for a couple of seasons. But
yes. So getting back to the sheet.
Yeah. Listen, I think let's look at the Indian pros, right? Like, who are the Indian pros that they have? I mean, okay, actually, the way we've sort of, if you can sort of scroll down, the way we sort of structured this is 4 things, right? So one is the Indian pros, clearly who they are. Then you've got the overseas pros. Then you've got the Indian uncapped / rookies. I mean, now I just want to say Shivam Dubey is played for India, but I don't put him in a pro bucket because he's still sort of trying to find his feet. So it's not uncapped, but sort of like, I think he still needs that breakout season. I mean, he sort of fell off the radar a bit. So put him in this bucket. And then you got the overseas, I wouldn't say rookies, but these are the kind of overseas guys that are punts, in the sense that, like, you wouldn't have seen, they won't be your first guys on a team sheet, but Chennai or any other, there are always these guys, right? You've got this sort of like these Conway or Tikshana. I mean, Gujarat has picked like Ramanullah Gurbaz, for example, who I'll come to when we do a video on Gujarat. But there's always these guys who are not like pros, but they're not rookies, but they're like sort of. So that's the way I sort of structured it. We said, okay, let's not look at it as batsmen, bowlers, and all rounders, but rather, how do you structure the thing? Now, let's look at the numbers, right? Sorry, yeah.
No, I mean, the other thing that's evident from the sheet is the fact that most of these, say, out of 25 odd picks, 60%, 70% are almost CSK, ex-CSK.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's CSK, right? I mean, you know that they're known for sort of retaining. I mean, if you look at their Indian core, this is the thing that stands out, right? So let's take a step back and look at Chennai's total this thing. I mean, if you zoom out a little bit, you can see a bit of the sheet, just a little bit. So the Indian core, I mean, this is the most important thing in an IPL sort of thing, right? I mean, the Indian core. Their entire Indian core is essentially ex-CSK. So nobody in their Indian core is not from CSK. Overseas, I mean, they've got Moeen, Dwayne, Santner, all CSK guys. The guys they've picked up outside of CSK, let's come to it in a bit, but I think they're really good picks. Like Jordan's a very good death bowler. He's having a bad time now. His England career is almost over. He went to the West Indies recently. They had that five match series. He got trashed all over the place. Wasn't able to land a Yorker. He was getting hit for sixes by guys like Romario Shepherd, who I'll come to later. But it's not like it's like that's.
Yeah, but I mean, West Indies is West Indies at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
but like Pretorius, I think, is a good kind of guy. Like, I mean, he's this typical South African all-rounder who is like, was like one out of many South African all-rounders. But recently in the T20 World Cup, if you remember, he started doing the death bowling role. And I think he really sort of did well for them in that role. He can bat a bit, fields reasonably well.
He's pacey,
he's a good
pick.
He was pacey, but he goes injured. So now, he had a bunch of injuries. So, after that, he's sort of been like, his pace is reduced, and then he started focusing on accuracy. And he's only recently started bowling as a death bowler. So, it's something that sort of, is developed recently. So then another couple of guys, I mean, Shivam Dubey, right? I mean, and then you go to the Indian uncapped / rookies, right? Like, I think Dubey is a good pick. I mean, good, exciting all-round talent. Fell off the radar a little bit. I think he was in RCB, then he went to Rajasthan Royals, and I don't think he found the right sort of setup. Clearly a very skilled guy, good bowler, can give you 2 to 3 overs on a good day, bats reasonably well. So he's the kind of guy that CSK wants, and I think if he's found the right setup to perform, I think he can really like take his game to the next level. And if anything, if the history is any witness, then people, players who are having a bit of self-doubt and a bit of like apprehension, there's no better team to come to and find your mojo than CSK, right? I mean, you've seen it a countless number of times. So I'm looking forward to CSK to see what they do out of Shivam Dubey. Hangargekar, I mean, the under-19 World Cup, I mean, we saw some of the games that he played. Bowls quick, 190, 140 kilometers an hour, 19-year-old though. So two points with Hangargekar, right? One is just in the way the physical body is built. I mean, generally, whenever we've had under, really young teenage express pace away bowlers, you've seen that they've immediately got injured. Like Cummins, remember when he debuted in that test in South Africa where they got bowled out for 49 or something. Remember that one test match where that was way back. I mean, it was 19 or 18 or 17. I think it was 17. Took 5 wickets and then he was out. First 6 years of his career, 7 years of his career, he was always like injured. Then you look at this guy from South Africa, Marchand Delanga. You remember the guy? I mean, he was like again another guy who debuted as a very quick express teenage bowler. Completely managed to, he just got injured and then he was like out for 5 years. But they're all come back now once they work on their body, get their fitness. I think the only country that manages to get teenage pace bowlers and keep them is Pakistan. But the experts would say that there's always a little.
No, the thing is, they don't leave teenage. That's the other problem. Like,
they never leave. I mean, Afridi is still a teenager. So, anyway, I mean, we can talk about. But I mean, apart from Pakistan, I don't think other countries have managed to figure that part out. But anyways, so I think Hangargekar. Let's see. I think CSK.
It's a punt. It's a punt, and it's a. Like a 1.5.
But that's the thing about CSK, right? I mean, that's the thing about CSK. They don't take punts. I mean, they take a step back, right? Look at this auction. Look at this auction strategy. They basically spent all their money buying the guys they wanted to get back. I mean, Jadeja 16, Dhoni 12, Raidu about 7 crores, Uthappa 2 crores, Gaikwad 6. So their auction strategy is basically split up between a bunch of guys they want to retain and a bunch of random nobodies for 20 lakhs. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Let's do.
So that's 17.9, excluding, say, Moeen Ali and Dwayne Bravo, along with the core.
If you I mean, this is 8.3 crores for like all the Indian uncapped guys, and then they've spent 8 crores on every other player. So they've kind of said, okay, so let's take a step back. I don't think Chennai have actually.
I mean, that's why I feel someone like Hangargekar is an interesting pick because they've been willing to shell out that 1.5. Even Prashant Solanki for that matter. But
Prashant Solanki, that's another guy I would come to. So Chennai, one more thing. Chennai has one of the best scouts that, like remember Tamil Nadu. I mean, Tamil Nadu is a very cricket crazy sort of state. They have the most passionate fans, but Tamilians being Tamilians are also a little bit nerdy. So they are very good on, very high on analysis and things like that. Remember, Tamil Nadu also has their own Premier League. They have the Tamil Nadu Premier League.
right.
TNPL, where there are a lot of different people. So all of the talent coming out of Tamil Nadu has been coming out of TNPL, be it Shah Rukh Khan, M. Ashwin. And one more thing about the TNPL is, no matter who, the one thing I've noticed is every single player from Tamil Nadu, no matter who they are and how famous they are, I'm talking about someone like Ashwin. I mean, he doesn't have to play in like Dingdul. He doesn't have to play for Dingdul Warriors in like Tamil Nadu Premier League. But when he gets the chance to go and play, he plays for them. Right. Ashwin, Karthik, Natarajan, Vijay Shankar, Shah Rukh Khan, M. Ashwin, anyone who plays like cricket in Tamil Nadu plays the TNT. So they have a very good network of scouts. They've got a very good network of like so things. So they generally always find, they're always known to pick good players. So let's take a step back and look at Chennai, right? So I know when the auction just happened, there was a lot of talk about Chennai doing a great job, bringing the band back together. They were very happy about the fact that they got most of the players. The fan base was pumped, and because obviously the fan base is very passionate. They were really upset about the fact that they couldn't replace, they couldn't, get Faf back. They went up to 9 crores for Faf, and I think then he went to the RCB. They also were upset about the fact that they couldn't get Raina back. But I think Raina, and CSK, I think was sort of like that, the whole thing that happened last year about him withdrawing from the IPL and things like that. I think that sort of like, put a spanner in the works of, I don't think that was sort of a breakdown in the relationship. And I think they just felt that they needed to move on from him. But, there was a lot of euphoria about CSK, but once the dust is settled and you really look at them, I think I'm not sure they actually like have done such a good job, because from what I look at it, they've spent a lot of money buying a lot of their players back, but they don't have anything left for anyone else. Like if you go down a little bit in the Excel sheet, that entire, like they've got a bunch of guys for 20 lakhs. I mean, so they basically picked a bunch of kids and hoped that they would come good. And everyone accepts 8 guys for 20 lakhs each. So basically they just
more so. I feel that's probably the way CSK is just being.
But by the way, I don't think all of these guys are unknowns. Yeah, like out of these 8 guys who they've picked for like 220 lakhs, Jagdishan, Hari Nishant, KM Asif, and Tushar Deshpande all have been with the CSK team for a very long, like 2 to 3 years.
Few of them have played. A few of them have played.
Tushar was. Exactly. Tushar is not played for CSK, but he was a net bowler for CSK actually for 2 to 3 years before he went to Delhi.
Right.
And he had a pretty good season last year with Delhi. So, I don't know, maybe at the end of this, when we do a mid-season review, if our podcast is still alive till then, we'll realize that they probably have pulled another CSK, and that's why we love them, because they just do this kind of shit that nobody else seems to call, nobody understands what they're doing in the beginning, and then at the end of it, they walk away as the champion. So I'm pretty sure they'll.
Just to your point, I think one of the things that I wanted to ask, especially since you mentioned Tushar Deshpande, DC, for example, have created this entire culture for fast bowlers, and even though they don't have, like Ishant Sharma doesn't find his way into the 11, he's still that big mentor that's there to help cricketers come forward. CSK has always been like that for, say, all-rounders who are on the edge of, say, some bits and piece players termed by some experts who become full players into like Shardul Thakur, Deepak Chahar, Jadeja.
Deepak, I mean, dude, the list is endless. Even Jadeja, I mean, when they picked Jadeja for like that insane amount back in the day, I mean, it was not an insane, it's like 1 or 2 crores, I think, back in the day. Back then, it was an insane amount. Everyone was like, dude, what are these guys doing? But man, they knew what they were doing.
Exactly.
Jadeja.
So, my point is it that CSK is good at that, but they've never been great at producing a full pure breed fast bowler? Say Mohit Sharma is actually a case. So
look, I think that So the thing is this, right? Remember, apart from the last 2 years, I mean, Chepak in Chennai is not a fast bowling wicket. So I mean, you don't need if out and out pace bowler. I mean, they never had that. I mean, all of their fast bowling picks, even if you go back, I mean, whoever they picked, right? They're not pace bowlers. They're skill bowlers like Southee, Ngidi, Hazelwood.
Right. But they've always had
Shardul,
Mohit Sharma or
Goni.
They've always had Mohit Sharma, Deepak Chahar type of player who's going to give them 3 overs in the power play.
You know what? I think ultimately a lot of this is down to Dhoni. I think Chennai, I mean, there's a reason, like everyone talks about, there's a reason that Chennai gives Dhoni a blank check every single time. And just, I mean, if you hear interviews of like Kashi Vishwanathan or someone, anyone of, any of the CSK management, a lot of them, they actually speak in Tamil in those interviews. But the one common theme out of every single thing is they all are like, look, whatever Thalai says, we just do it. Thalai being Dhoni. I mean, they trust him 100%. And I mean, it's funny because in one of the official CSK Instagram accounts, it's literally like Kashi Vishwanathan, who's the CEO of CSK. He was literally saying like, look, whatever Thalai says, we do it. And the point is he tells us what to do in the last day. And we just like agree to him. So basically they trust him 100%. But that's the DNA of CSK. They trust people 100%. They give them the license and they give them the faith. So they know that. I think they're all the guys who are managing CSK are very good. They're all typical Tamilians who went to a good engineering college, then did an MBA, and they're great managers. They know how to delegate. They're like, our skill set is not cricket. Dhoni is the guy who's going to master the cricket. They let him do the cricket. I think that's where they've done better than someone like a team like Punjab. I mean, Punjab has always had some of the best players, but their results have been utter nonsense. I mean, so there's a reason that CSK has done well. I think the faith that Dhoni, I mean, so that's why they've been able to get Dhoni behind the wickets. They've been able to get the best out of some of these average or above average or below average cricketers, right? So, let's see. I mean, now I don't know. As I said, like once Dhoni is not the captain,
that's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. As you mentioned, the mid-season review might give us few pointers about how that works out. But getting to the balance,
season will still be fine. Yeah, this season will still be fine. Yeah,
11. Just getting to the balance of the 11.
So let's go to the 11, right? So what I think, because again, as we said, like a lot of these teams look great on paper, but then how do you actually balance it out? Now, the reason I said that Chennai haven't done so well, I think is you'll figure it out as we go through, right? And listen, I think the one big thing for Chennai is basically Deepak Chahar. I mean, they spent all that money, on him, and him being injured for this season, I just think has completely destroyed their plans. And I don't think they've quite, I'm sure Chennai being Chennai figured something out, but that really creates a problem, right? So let's look at the playing combination in terms of how they would view that. Now, let's look for the Ritu. Number one, Gaikwad. There's nothing. There's no question about that. He's a definite starter. Number two, I think Chennai. Tevin Conway. Nobody. He's the kind of guy that not really a lot of people know about. But look at his statistics. He's 30 years old. He's a South African guy. Started his career in South Africa, so he's played like a lot of his cricket in South Africa. At some point, like many South Africans do, Wagner, Grandom. Was in Zimbabwe, but anyways, a lot of them do move to New Zealand because he felt that his future wasn't secure. Now he's started playing for New Zealand. He's played almost 100 T20 games or so, or even more than that. He's got an average of close to 50, which is not a joke for someone who's he's got an average of 45 or something like that, and his strike rate is like 130. So, and by the way, he's a backup wicketkeeper. So I think Conway is, when the management spoke about Conway right after the interview, they were like, he's the kind of hussy kind of player, like they view him as that grafter, anchor, backup wicketkeeper, one day to take over the role from Dhoni / leader eventually, not a captain, but a leader. So I think they really had big plans for Conway and they really wanted him to play, but we'll come to that. And I think with Chahar not being available, I don't know. I think they might be forced to not play Conway this year. So let's see. But anyway, the good thing is they've got Uttappa as a backup in case, they want to do that. Then they've got Jagadish as like the fourth backup or the third backup, in case everyone gets injured. Good guy.
And he's been tagging along with the team for a while.
He's been with the team for a while. But again, the problem is his statistics, right? He's the kind of guy who's striking at 110. Chennai has too many of these anchor players. They lack that sort of 500 band power hitter. Number 3, I think Moeen Ali. Number 4, Raidu. I think this position can swap alternatively. I think Raidu can come at 3. Moeen, it depends on whatever happens. But I think both,
Dhoni, like Jadeja might come one down.
Could be. Dhoni could come one down.
Right. Exactly.
And then I think Jadeja has got to be at 5. Jadeja is probably the best form of his life as a batsman. This is the time, if you want to do it, this is it. Number 6, I mean, Shivam Dube, right? I mean, this is what I was saying. Like, Dube is the kind of guy. And one more thing. Remember when Dube got into the whole thing? I mean, there was this whole. He had hit the sort of 89 or 43 balls or something like that, back in the day when he was like, when he became famous. And that was at
Once.
DY Patil. He plays for
1932 or
Mumbai.
something.
Exactly. Back in the day. I mean, by the way, Dube is a Mumbai player. So he's used to playing at all 3 stadiums. So that's an advantage for him. I think he's like, he's a fast bowling all-rounder, which not many people, there are not many of them. I mean, we've seen some really average fast bowling all-rounders go for really crazy prices.
Mumbai is known to Abhishek Nair being a case in point who had huge potential and then fell off the radar. So hopefully Dube doesn't go down that route.
Yeah, because... but knowing CSK, I think, I think if Dube had to get a team to resurrect his career, I think this was the team that he had to go to. So I'm actually really optimistic. I think Dube is a guy to watch out for. Knowing CSK, I think they are known to get the best out of them. This guy's career has sort of been meandering along for a while. I think this is the year that he's going to, either he's going to like be completely like, he's going to make it or he's just going to fall away. But I think if, as a player, I don't think you can ask for something better, right?
But then, looking at the top 7, just going back to this, who's going to be their Suresh Raina type,
so that's
guaranteed 500 plus.
Hey, look, that's what we're going to come to next, right? So look at that potential points of concern. So, anyways, I don't think that. I think there's some serious issues with the way they picked their team. We'll come to that. Okay. So I think Bravo's going to play more or less all games. Okay. Then I think they need an Indian seamer, and this is where I say that this number 9 would ideally be Deepak Chahar. But now, given that he's not there, I think they're sort of like stuck because they've got to go for Asif or Hangargekar or Tushar Deshpande. All perfectly capable guys, but that's a problem for them. I don't think they would have wanted to go down this route. Number 10, I think they need one of Jordan, Milne, or Pretorius. I think they would need both of these guys. Like, because Milne can bowl up front. One of these 2 guys can bowl in the death. Pretorius is a very good death bowler. So is Jordan. So, they probably have to play both of them. And then, either if they decide to go for Tikshana, they can do that, or they could just like avoid Tikshana and go for 2 out of, Jordan and Pretorius and Milne, and then not play Tikshana. Tikshana is a good spinner. I think he's a very good pick, mystery spinner, bowls in the power play. In the Chennai wickets, I think he'll be a handful. This year, I think he has probably got a less of a role to play, but in the coming years, he's young. He's also like 20-something. He opens the bowling for Sri Lanka. He recently went to Australia, did really well there. I mean, he's the kind of guy who will keep it. He's not Deepak Chahar. He's not going to rip apart the power play open. He's like this 4 overs, 1 for 20 kind of bowler. He's not, whereas Deepak Chahar is like the 4 overs, 3 for 30 kind of bowler. He's going to give you like 2 to 3 wickets on average. And he could go for runs, but he'll give you wickets up front. Tikshana will keep it tight, but, not necessarily he's going to, pick up wickets. So let's see. I mean, they've also got Prashant Solanki, who I think could be a good pick. I mean, paid a lot for him. Yeah.
And they don't have that. He's Dhoni's always, now Jadeja, always keep forgetting. But CSK's always had this leg spinner bank that they've wanted. They've been times.
They had specialist spinners. I mean, Harbhajan, Tahir.
I mean, they've been time when they played Kant Sharma and Piyush Chawla and Harbhajan Singh.
I mean, remember one thing. When Mumbai used to play in Chennai, they played Jayant Yadav as their 3rd spinner because Chennai is a spinning wicket. So you need a spinner. You need a specialist spinner in Chennai. I mean, Jadeja and Moeen together can give you 6 to 8 overs on a good day. They are not 4-over banks. I think Jadeja, yes. Moeen depends on the day. But anyways, let's look at the potential points of concern, right? I think one thing, Indian pacers. That's the point, right? Like they've got like Chahar, but what else apart from Chahar? They don't have another. I mean, I think Tushar is a good pick. They know him well. He had a good couple of games for Delhi last year. I mean, he's a good find. I mean, they know him well. They obviously got him for good price. Let's see.
Hangargekar is Asif also, right? Couple of games.
Asif is also a good player. He's an ex-CSK guy. They know him well. So, I think they could sort of go with him. Hangargekar, as I said, he's 19, right? So, I mean, for a 19-year-old kid, either he's going to own it or he's just going to completely lose it. Like, I hope he doesn't. I hope he does well. I think he's the kind of guy who could potentially play for India as well. And I hope he can stay fit. I mean, bowling 150 at 140, 145 at 19. I mean, there is going to be an injury coming soon where he would be out for a while. So I don't know. I mean, so I think that's the one thing. So Indian pacers, right? I don't think they've kind of figured it out. I mean, in the past, they had Shardul, they had Deepak, they had MGD. So, they're sort of like short on that sort of pacer department right now. Second thing is, I think, spinners, right? As we just discussed. I mean, they don't have a specialist spinner. They've always had like specialist spinners. Like they've had Imran Tahir, Harbhajan Singh, Piyush Chawla, Karan Sharma. I forget now, but they had a bunch of these guys who were proper spinners who would give you 4 overs every
Maybe
game.
they'll be able to, of course, as the tracks wear out, Bombay tracks also start spinning a lot. But
exactly,
maybe this season they'd probably be able to make it to the playoffs without that one quality spinner.
I don't know. I mean, they have Tikshana, but Tikshana balls in the power play mostly. They've got Prashant Solanki. I think, Chennai doesn't bid for anybody. I mean, Chennai, if anything you know about Chennai, they don't spend money on random people. So if they bid 1.45 crores for him, they probably know something that we don't. And I mean, he's got like 25 wickets in like 10 list A games. So he hasn't played a lot of T20. He's played like 5 T20s or 4, like played very few T20s, but he's got a good wicket-taking option, I think.
Fair.
So, yeah. So let's see. I mean, then Deepak Chahar. I mean, listen, we've talked about it. I mean, this is the problem for them. It's not a permanent problem, but when I'm talking about like the next 3-4 years, right? So
just this season,
then,
sure. Yeah.
This is a problem for this. And then the backup for Dhoni. I mean, as you said, Dhoni's not going to be around forever. He's probably going to be around for like 1 or 2 years and then off. You need a keeper backup. I think Conway is that guy. Conway is going to be that keeper that they really had a lot of hopes from. And I think Conway is going to be their backup keeper. So I think they've sort of figured it out. But they need ideally, I think what they would have planned for is Conway plays every game this season. He gets into the team, understands the culture, gets into that sort of team fit, and then eventually takes over the gloves from Dhoni. But the fact that Chahar has been injured, as you see in the first 11, they might be forced to play. See, they're going to play Moeen and Bravo every single game, right? They have to play one. No, I mean, Moeen is fit. Bravo is also fit. I mean, he bowls at 109 kilometers an hour. So he's kind of fit anyway. So he's not going to get injured. Bravo and Moeen play every game. I think one out of Chris, Jordan, Milne, or Pretorius play every single game. So you're basically left with one overseas slot. So I don't know. I think it depends on how. I think if Asif and Deshpande do well, then they could go with one overseas pace bowler and then Conway can play. But if one of those Indian pace bowlers fall apart, they'll be forced to then play both the overseas players, and then they don't have place for Conway. So let's see. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing that we've learned about CSK is they don't give one-off game to someone.
Of course.
They'll give a run for
definitely
3-4 games.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on the Conway bit. I'm not too sure of. I mean, as of now, Dhoni's going to probably play 12 of the 14 games, if not all 14. If not all 14. So. I think backups would probably be in a mini auction or something to figure out.
I think they'll figure it out in some sort of this thing. But let's see.
Yeah.
Then the other one, right? I mean, 500 run bank. That was your question. Who is their 500 run bank? They had Rituraj in the past. They had Faf in the past. They had Raina in the past.
And Raina's always been that CSK till say last 3-4 years.
Yes, and just look at this team. I mean, I don't see a 500 run bank. I mean, Raido is a good player, but I mean, he's going to do well. But it's not a 500 run bank. He'll give you a good season, and he'll do well.
And he's not playing any domestic. Both Raido and Uthappa are not playing any domestic tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, Gaikwad is one. I think they're really banking on Gaikwad to have a very good season. And they're really banking on Raidu to have a very good season. But I think, man, this is for them, like the Indian pacer and that at 500 run batsmen, I think these are the two biggest holes for them. The first one, the Indian pacer, just for the fact that Chahar got injured, I think that's just become more accentuated. But yeah, I'm not so sure they've actually done a very. I think but look, in CSK, so I'm going to measure my words here. I would never really, I'm not going to say anything about them. But I'm a bit surprised. I mean, there are clear holes in the team. I mean, even Dhoni. I mean, one would argue about his retention. I mean, I for fun think that I always knew they were going to retain him, but he's not going to be around forever. So yeah, I don't know.
And there again, that was my question about Moeen Ali as well. But probably they know more than what we do about the team roles. Like, is Moeen Ali at one down going to be that 500 plus player?
Yeah, Moeen is not your 500 run. He's the kind of guy who's going to give you 31 or 18 balls. He's the kind of guy who will come, he'll hit a few sixes, a boundary or two, and he's not going to. He'll score the odd 50 or 70, but he's not the guy who's going to. I mean, what does 500 run bank mean? I mean, in the 14 run season, it basically means that you're averaging at more than 35 runs a game, right? And Moeen is not that guy. Moeen is not that guy. I mean, he's going to give you the quick 20 or the 30, which is fine. I mean, that's fine for this. It worked when they had Faf and Ritu and, Raidu and all those kind of guys. But yeah, how is it going to work here? I don't know.
Maybe given Jadeja's form, he could end up being that 500 plus player.
If Jadeja becomes their 500 run bank at number 5 or number 6, then I think they've got some issues to worry about.
But yeah, I mean, I think given him becoming the captain, there could potentially be a case in point where if Conway is not playing, that is, that he moves further up the order as a batsman. Right? But these are
all very
thoughts. I don't know.
But listen, Chennai is one team that is known to pull some crazy shit off. They've done it in the past. I mean, they've done some unthinkable stuff. So let's see. I mean, when they opened, I mean, listen, Sam Curran, right? I mean, clearly a very talented guy, was floating around here and there, went to Punjab and was just not sure what to do. And then he comes to Chennai.
What happened in Punjab, generally.
Let's get to that when we do Punjab's review. But, so yeah, look, I mean, let's go to the next one, right? Like, I mean, so in a nutshell, right? Chennai is there are clearly issues that they need to address. I mean, they're clear problems. But yeah, let's see how it goes. I mean, but I'm less concerned because this is Chennai. I mean, this is probably one of the best teams in an auction. So yeah, let's look at roles, right? The other thing, I mean, we decided, okay, that look, we typically look at roles as like batsman, bowler, all-rounder. I mean, but what does it mean in a T20? I mean, doesn't really mean much, right? I think we're looking at it like who can play a different role through the innings. I mean, one thing about 2020, the way it's evolved through the years is that people have figured out that they have broken those periods of time into 3 to 4 overs, and you need people to fulfill those roles, right? So who are the openers? I mean, you've got Ruturaj, Devon Conway, Robin Uthappa.
Maybe Raidu in the mix?
Maybe Raidu in the mix, but Raidu could be. But I'll come to, there's a reason why I don't think Raidu will open, and I'll come to that in the next one. Who the hell is going to anchor this innings? I mean, you had Faf in the past, you had Ruturaj is a decent anchor, but the problem is if they go Raidu to open, I mean, who can they, unless they say Dhoni is going to do number 3 and anchor it. But yeah, look, I mean, I don't think that's just me being wishful.
Uthappa in his form currently, and that's where I think it ties back into your 500 run bank. Yeah. Because the anchor is going to give you 40 or 35 balls.
Yeah, that's a 500 run bank. And exactly. I don't see anyone else apart from Raidu. And then you go to the power hitter and finisher. I think Moeen, definitely power hitter, less finisher. Jadeja, brilliant finisher. Dhoni, I'm just putting him here because he's Dhoni. But, I mean, he's not the same guy anymore. He was batting at number 9 last year. So
they've got Bravo and Jordan also at times to
Bravo is
clean
not
up.
But this is not this is the kind of guy who will come and hit a 6 off 3 balls. This is not a finisher. This is like
to clean up.
To clean up, basically. Yeah. Then let's look at power play bowlers, right? I think Tikshana is a good power play bowler. I think they picked him up with a good view to the future, especially when they play in Chennai. Milne is a guy who, as we were just discussing, I mean, he is a good bowler. I think he's the kind of guy who's got a decent skill set but hasn't found the right team. So I think this is probably the time where he can actually, find that brewing. So let's see. But yeah, man, this is one thing. I think without Deepak Chahar, I think it kind of ties back to the earlier bucket, right? I mean, they don't have an Indian pacer, so they just don't have a power play bowler. I mean, they can go with like, yeah, I mean, you can potentially have like Tushar here.
Or Tushar or KM Asif, right?
But KM Asif, but like none of these guys
they need to prove themselves.
They need to prove themselves. So let's see how that goes. Spin bowlers, right? As I said, I mean, they've just got two. I mean, unless you consider Jadeja and Moeen, but I mean, like these are not like wicket-taking spin bowlers. I mean, they are good spin bowlers, but they're not like Rashid Khan or like Imran Tahir or Harbhajan Singh or anyone of that sort, right? So let's see. I think the one bucket where they actually have done relatively well is the death bowling bucket, because they've got Bravo there, who's going to be around for a couple of years, and then Pretorius again, as I was saying, I think he was kind of a floater. He found his niche as a death bowler recently, so let's see how that goes. And then Jordan, I think he's sort of like coming to the end of his England career. I mean, I know we were like, let's see, but I strongly feel that I don't think he's going to be playing for England in the next World Cup. I just feel that he's sort of like last few games for England, he's completely got thrashed all over the park, but he has the skill, and I think no better team than CSK to actually get that skill set out of someone, right?
Yeah, and I think so when I said what I said about the comeback, it's more to do that CSK is known to give players comebacks back to their national teams. Be it Haseeb, who got back in the day, or Watson, who was given a run again with the Australian team when they issues. So yeah,
I think more than CSK being the team that facilitates people's comebacks, I think CSK is the team that takes these people who everyone else says their career is finished and then gives them a 3 to 4 year sort of run. I mean, Harbhajan Singh, I mean, they picked Harbhajan Singh when he was 37 or something like that. And remember, like, everyone was like, dude, what are you doing? And then he just gave them 3 solid seasons. Didn't play every game, but whenever he played, he gave them a very good, like, 4 overs. I mean, they did the same with like Watson as well. I mean, at some point, people were like, yeah, it's kind of finished, but then he was there and he did it. I mean, they did it with Raidu, they did it. Yeah, they won them a final. He won them the eliminator. He won them the qualifier and the final.
Right.
And like, same is the case with Uthappa or Raidu. I mean, so
what's the availability like? What's the who are the ones that are not there?
I think Deepak is out for the whole season. Moeen and Pretorius are out for the first game. Moeen is playing. Moeen got his visa. He's in Chennai. He's in Mumbai now with the team, but he has that isolation quarantine, so he's not available for the first.
Is that still on? Wow.
3 days. 3 days. 3 days of COVID isolation. So he's apparently in COVID isolation. But I saw the Instagram post of Chennai with him, with everyone else. So I don't know. Anyway, whatever. But yeah, he's not playing the first game basically. And Pretorius is, I think he was just playing an ODI in South Africa now versus Bangladesh, which they lost. He's coming to India, so he's out for the first game.
Badly. They lost badly, but
that's a different story. Anyway.
Awesome.
So yeah, I mean, look. Anyways, that was CSK. So look.
What are your hopes this season? Being in a year close to your height.
I think if they. I think Chennai this year is going to struggle to. I mean, honestly, I think they're going to struggle to qualify for the playoffs. I think they need a lot of things to go well for them. They need a lot of their overseas pros. I mean, their rookie players to come good, and they need a bunch of their old daddies to stand up. But Chennai being Chennai, I mean, if they prove me right, I mean, there'll be no one happier than me. I think they've done it time and again. So let's see. I think What about you? What do you think about Chennai?
No, I think Chennai is always known for. I mean, as you said, you just trust them for what they do. So clearly they've got a plan.
Basically.
Probably the fact that Deepak Chahar has been ruled out throws that plan out of the window. But I think given that there are 10 teams, you'll see a lot of teams struggle and rely on these 20 lakh cricketers.
The rookies. And I think, by the way, the other thing which we didn't touch upon, right? Like we're used to, because of the 8-team format, I mean, we're just, remember, each team is about 20, 22 players, right? So
25 at least.
25. So we're looking at, we went from 200 players to 250 players. So you're looking at 50 more players in the broader squad. So what it means is, what we don't realize is every single team is going to, because previously we were used to teams filling up the entire 11 with known people, but maybe one person or two-person being someone like an unknown, uncapped player. But I think given the 10-team format this year and injuries and non-availabilities, every team will be forced to field at least 3 to 4 sort of these unknowns, right? So I think that's going to even out. I think we were not used to seeing it, but we'll notice it in the coming days.
Fair.
Yeah. So
Cool.
What do you think? Qualify for the playoffs? Not qualify for the playoffs?
I have always respected CSK and not supported them too much. So, but regardless, I think they've got a good chance to qualify in the playoffs because of CSK being CSK, and a lot banks on the likes of. I think the 4 retentions that they've had. These people have to come good. Rituraj has to have a breakout season, and
I mean another breakout season. He had one last year.
Exactly.
Repeat.
But he needs to carry this team forward. Which, like last time, he shared the burden with Faf. This time he's solo. So these are things that they need to probably figure out, and I'm sure the think tank with Fleming and Dhoni and now Jaddu in there are more than equipped for something of that sort. So playoffs is on the cards. I won't write them off like I would say Gujarat Titans at the moment, but we'll get there when we get there.
Fair enough. Let's see.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome, Mayor.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Was a fun first episode. See you again for the next review, which will be KKR.
The second tab. Yeah.
Absolutely. Perfect. Thank you.
Same, man.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.